An agent opens 50 documents, sends every page back to the model, spends a small fortune rereading boilerplate, and finally announces that document 47 contains the answer. That is not intelligence. That is a very expensive photocopier. GPT-5.6 Sol introduces a different agent loop. The important feature is not merely a higher benchmark score. It is programmatic tool calling. The model can write a lightweight program that coordinates eligible tools, processes intermediate results, and returns only what matters. To understand why that changes the architecture, look at the normal tool loop. The model chooses a tool. Your application executes it. The result is inserted into the conversation. The model reads the result and chooses another tool. That cycle repeats. It is wonderfully flexible, but every lap can add latency, tokens, and noise. Imagine researching a folder of 50 product contracts. The old loop might open one file, receive thousands of words, inspect them, then request the next file. Even if the model only needs cancellation terms, the conversation becomes a warehouse full of paper. With programmatic tool calling, Sol can create a bounded routine. List the files, open each one, extract paragraphs containing the required clauses, normalize the dates, and return a compact table. The tool outputs still exist, but the model does not need every raw page pasted into its main reasoning context. That difference is easy to miss because the user sees the same final answer underneath. However, orchestration has moved. Instead of the model narrating every tiny step through a sequence of round trips, it can generate code that performs deterministic intermediate work. Filtering, sorting, joining, counting, and transforming data are jobs code handles extremely well. Fresh judgment remains valuable when the meaning changes. Here is the rule I would use. If each result changes what the agent should believe, let the model inspect it. If the task is a bounded mechanical transformation, let a program handle it. Suppose an incident response agent is scanning 10,000 log records. Code should filter the time window, group repeated errors, and calculate frequencies. The model should interpret the unusual cluster, decide which service to investigate, and explain the risk. Asking the model to personally admire every log line is not rigor. It is billing. OpenAI says this approach can reduce tokens and model round trips. That can improve cost and speed, but it also improves context quality. A model has a limited attention budget even when its context window is enormous. Feeding it 20 pages of irrelevant headers makes the important sentence harder to notice. A compact, audible intermediate artifact gives the reasoning step a cleaner desk. Programmatic calling is not the same as giving an agent unlimited authority. The runtime should receive a narrow tool set. Read tools can be broadly available when the data policy permits. Actions that send messages, deploy code, spend money, change permissions, or delete data still need explicit boundaries. A clever program can make the wrong decision faster, which is a talent nobody requested. The generated routine also needs limits. Maximum calls, maximum runtime, output size caps, and a trace showing which tools ran with which arguments. If the routine reads customer data, the application must preserve access controls instead of assuming the model will politely ignore forbidden rows. Now add GPT-5.6 multi-agent. OpenAI describes multi-agent as a beta capability that lets one GPT-5.6 instance coordinate concurrent subagents and synthesize their results. That is useful when the work divides cleanly. One agent can inspect front-end failures, another can inspect the API, and a third can review the database migration. But parallelism is not free intelligence. If all four agents edit the same file, you have invented a meeting with merge conflicts. Parallel branches need independent scopes, clear outputs, and one final integration check. Programmatic tool calling coordinates tools inside a bounded job. Multi-agent coordinates separate reasoning workstreams. Those are different mechanisms and should be designed separately. The model family also matters. OpenAI launched GPT-5.6 as Sol, Terra, and Luna. Sol is the flagship and is priced at $5 per million input tokens and $30 per million output tokens in the launch information. Terra and Luna are cheaper tiers. That makes routing more important than declaring Sol the answer to every request. Use the smallest tier that reliably completes the job. Escalate when the task requires deeper reasoning, longer autonomy, or harder synthesis. A daily metadata cleanup should not need the same budget as a production outage. And benchmark claims need context. Launch charts depend on the model, reasoning efforts, scaffold, tools, token budget, and a higher agent score does not prove your repository permissions or data pipeline will behave. Run a representative evaluation with your own failure conditions. Use at least 3 task classes. Test a bounded data transformation where programmatic calling should shine. Test an exploratory task where each result changes the next decision. Then test a high-risk action that must stop for approval. Compare end-to-end success, not just model output. Count tool failures, repeated reads, total tokens, elapsed time, and whether the trace lets a reviewer reconstruct the result. If the programmatic version is cheaper but impossible to audit, the optimization has removed the wrong thing. The real upgrade in GPT-5.6 Sol is therefore architectural. The old agent loop treated the model as planner, interpreter, and data processing engine on every turn. The new loop can separate those jobs. Code handles bounded repetition. Tools touch the environment. The model makes the decisions that require judgment. Humans approve consequences that should not be silently automated. That is how an agent becomes faster without merely thinking less. Do not ask whether programmatic tool calling makes the model smarter. Ask whether it removes useless conversation from the path between a decision and its evidence. When the answer is yes, GPT 5.6 has not just improved the agent loop, it has shortened it.